So welcome to another segment in the Virtual Vendor Showcase. And I am super pleased to welcome today Jodi Bourne, who is a short-term rental consultant and web designer. I know Jodi really, really well. We've met, we've had lunch, we've discussed various aspects of Southern cuisine, and Jodi's also done some work for me. So I'm going to jump in right at the very end of this and tell you how impressed I am with Jodi's services. But to kick off, Jodi, welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing along one of your best clients to talk about her experiences with you. And that is, I've got it down as Marjorie Job. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes, that's my formal name. My nickname, so to speak, is Marty, but either one works.
Okay. Well, we're going to come to you in a few seconds, a few minutes, Marty, and ask about your experience with Jodi. But first of all, Jodi, tell us, how did you actually get into this business of consulting and web design, specifically with short-term rentals?
Serendipitously, I guess, is the best way to say it. I was working in music marketing and, really, really, really enjoyed that, and worked for a music venue. And that music venue, we partnered with a city CVB, the city of San Marcos, Texas, with their CVB, and I won a grant. I did a proposal to help the city put heads in beds. And so that, it was like, oh, tourism, that's the thing. It's so much fun. And I get to use all my skills. And that was great. Soon after that, the venue sold to a huge corporation, I think, who didn't need, to hire somebody like me. So I started working for a property management company, vacation rental property management company in the Hill Country, and fell in love with that. And really, I was their marketing director and ads manager. Really loved that. But then they went through an ownership shift. So some policies were implemented that I wanted to work from home. So I decided to leave that company and go out on my own as a freelancer and just take whatever local client, was out there. And then I was also working full-time on the side for a digital marketing agency. So my very first local client, was a vacation rental owner who had been an owner with this property management company, had sought me out specifically after I left to work with him. And that's how it all began. I loved him. He had 7 properties. We worked together for quite a while, and I really enjoyed it. And then my reputation here in this area grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew until a point where I was having clients ask me not to work with their competition. At that point, I was like, uh-oh, what am I going to do now? So that's when I started, I quit my digital agency job and started branching out and doing some ads for myself, and got my first non-Texas client, who was a guy in Colorado, and that was 2018. So that's all I do now is short-term rental marketing.
Well, it's a great business to be in. So tell me, how do you actually work with professional owners and managers to help them be successful?
Well, I have a lot of services. I started really working with blogging and web design. I'm not a web designer, but I realized that was one of the things that owners thought they needed. So I grew my skills. I took a design course, and I love it because I'm design centric. And really loved that. But I also have this consulting program that I do, where I work hand in hand with the owners and help guide them through the entire, through their business, through marketing their business, anything and everything they need. And then I also have some courses. I have a group coaching program called the 5-Step Booking Roadmap that I do 2 or 3 times a year. And I'm also available for individual, a lot of times someone will hire me just to write 12 blog posts for their website. So multiple different ways.
Well, it's interesting because we were chatting before we started to record this, and I said, I've got a company with 140 properties. We have a full-time person who deals with all these things, but much smaller companies perhaps don't want to be hiring somebody full-time and paying them a full-time salary. So the sort of outsourcing, the type of outsourcing consultancy that you're offering seems absolutely ideal for somebody who is smaller or just beginning to grow, and of course, I guess, learning along the way. So what's your general process of working with a client? How do you start?
Well, typically, and Marty's a perfect example of how that process works. I typically start out with an audit. We talk. I see what they need or what they think they need. And then I advise them oftentimes that that's not what they really need to start with. And I look at all their systems that they have in place, their branding, their target market, all of that. And then we work on a strategy together. I tell them, what I can do and what they may need to outsource to someone else. I really like being able to say, you can hire me to do this, but it's going to be a lot cheaper on you, less expensive if I train someone to help you, or I help you find somebody that's better at this part of that. So, I'm always keeping their budget in mind as I help them. So that's really for the consulting. That's how that works. Someone with web design who wants just a web design project, then we go about that differently. But that's how the consulting part of it works.
And I know you've helped us, because certainly with our Pinterest program, and you've helped by actually training my marketing manager how to
such a great job.
Yes. Well, that's brilliant, because I could have sent her on a course, but it's not the same, because you are focused on short-term rentals, and that makes such a difference, because you know where we're coming from, you know the strategy that we're looking at. So I was going to ask you, what benefits of hiring you do your clients appreciate the most? But I'm going to take that over to Marty, because she can tell me. But first of all, Marty, thanks for joining us. And first of all, your company's called Happy in the Keys. So I'm pretty sure where you are. And I think Jodi went down to visit you recently. Am I right?
That's correct. Yes, we are in the Florida Keys.
That sounds fantastic. So what size company do you have? How many properties do you represent?
Currently, we have 5 properties. 3 of them, I custom designed the homes for the vacation rental lifestyle and built them. But they're all operational. They're high-end luxury homes on ocean canals in the middle of the Florida Keys. And so we have a very targeted market that we are renting our homes to, and that we have forecasted. And one of the things that Jodi is helping us with is get toward our goal of hosting site independence. So currently we market on VRBO as well as Airbnb, and we have a fantastic website that Jodi put together for us. But our goal is to get off of those hosting sites and be a destination through our website only.
That is a great goal. And I applaud you for doing that. And I think, we've heard so many people say in the last couple of months, I've had them on the podcast. We know Matt Landau supports this. Andrew McConnell is supporting the fact that direct booking is going to be becoming more and more important. And with direct booking comes that the marketing strategy that you need to take on to ensure that you're reaching the maximum amount of people. So how's your business improved? How has it improved since you began working with Jodi?
Well, I started working with Jodi in January of last year. And I found her through one of her blog posts when I was searching. And when you mentioned Matt Landau, I want to say he was the first vacation rental marketing expert that I read anything about. I found him on a SEO search when I accidentally started my business in 2015. And so through his recommendation at that time, and of course, 6 years is a long time in our little baby industry. So 6 years ago, he was recommending a web site and owner reservation system called One Rooftop.
Yes.
It started out as Web Chalet, and then it converted to One Rooftop. So that was where my first website with booking software was. And then, and he, by the way, his recommendation at the time was, if you even have one property, you need to have your own website for legitimacy. And so that's really what made us decide we have to have our site not just VRBO and Airbnb. So he recommended Web Chalet. We had issues with that, but we were on it for a couple of years. Then I converted over to Lodgify right before I hired Jodi. And I knew, I probably needed my own website, but I definitely needed help to get to the next level of professionalism and expertise, to where I wasn't just a mom and pop, one or two property business. I wanted to be serious and professional. And so through talking with Jodi and going through her audit, she was assisting me with that. And she convinced me, I already thought it was a possibility, but she actually convinced me that I needed to have a website that was not only redesigned and very, very professional, but independent even of the reservation systems. It should be its own animal, so to speak, that I owned completely, and that was not dependent on my annual subscription to the reservation system that I might be on, and to grow my blog. And therefore we would have much more options in where I went with my business, with an independent website platform. So that's what she did for me. And in May of last year, we launched the new website and integrated it with OwnerRez. OwnerRez is one of the best things that's happened to my business too. That was Jodi endorsed and recommended. And so that has been tremendous in marking our sales, our statistics, and the integration has been reliable. The integration that I had with Lodgify and with Web Chalet or One Rooftop was not reliable. We had dropped reservations, we had multiple bookings, and just those were some of the glitches that we struggled with. And since Jodi did my website, which is over the top beautiful, if you haven't looked at it, I would recommend that you look at it at happyinthekeys.com. But it is one of the best sites that I've ever seen for vacation rentals. And it does the functionality of where I wanted to go with a shop and the blog and a lifestyle business. It has been, I just couldn't say enough about it. It's been a tremendous experience for our business. And so we have skyrocketed since Jodi did these implementations for us in website visits, at the SEO that she put on the website itself has been very successful. And our bookings have really gone off the chart. My goal that I set out last year was 50 weeks a year per property, with only two downtime weeks for maintenance and refreshing. And we're going to make that this year. Last year, we would have been very close if it wasn't for the COVID shutdown, because the Keys was actually shut down completely. Nobody could come in to the Keys for about 10 weeks. So, but my numbers last year were amazing, even though we were shut down for 10 weeks. With my 5 properties, last year I grossed about $1 million. And this year we're on track for about $1.4 million, $1.5 million. And we're going to hit that 50-week mark most likely. And Jodi was a big part of all of that.
That is amazing. What a great success story. So I think you've probably said most of it, but is there anything else you would say to another professional owner or manager, somebody who might be on the fence at the moment? Because I know there are so many companies out there, and I don't have anything bad to say about Lodgify or the other companies that offer a website, but there is something very, very different about operating your business on borrowed land and operating your business on owned land, which is what you're doing. What would you say to somebody who might be on the fence about hiring a consultant, a short-term rental consultant or a web designer?
I would say that the faster you get off the fence, the better your business is going to be, and the faster it's going to grow. I wish I would have found Jodi much sooner than I did, because my business would be much farther down the road than it is now. But she has really made a difference, and I will also say that she has been inspirational in some of the directions that we went that I hadn't even anticipated. And so she got right away where I wanted to go, but she made that road much easier for us. And she knew more potential options than we did. And so it just really helped us in every way. And so she provides not only the how-to, but also the where to go kind of direction that someone, especially someone who is newly into the business like I was or is, I'm still just 5 years down this road. She has been just instrumental in getting us to where we wanted to go. And her advice has been spot on. And on top of that, she's extremely easy to work with. She was able to tell, when I could be pushed and when I couldn't be pushed, and when I needed a little more time. And so she was sort of, nudging me along the way.
Well, she sounds that is the best description of an excellent consultant I think anyone can make. So thanks so much, Marty. I think if somebody is out there sitting on the fence on this, then they should be pretty well convinced by now. I'll make sure on the business page on Virtual Vendor Showcase that there is a link to Happy in the Keys. So
great, that'd be excellent.
Go and take a look at that site, because always good to see an example of something that you've done. I mean, I know one of my competitors up here in Ontario is one of your clients too. So you've made it more difficult for me, I think. Jennifer?
What?
I said, you've made it more difficult for me to have a competitor with one of your websites.
Yes. She is a competitor, but not with 140 properties yet.
So, and she's extremely happy with what you did for her as well. So I'm in contact with her quite regularly. So I too endorse you wholeheartedly, Jodi. We talk frequently. I'm always on your Facebook page, and we'll make sure that all the links are on this business page for everybody to go check out. So Jodi, before we leave you, there will be links for people to get hold of you. Is there any last thing you want to say to anybody who's watching this to convince them that you are the real biz?
Well, you know what? I think that everybody should just talk to me on the phone. I think pretty quickly we get to a place where we can determine if I am that person, because I may not be for a certain business. And it just depends. But I say that I like to be a part of every person's perfect vacation. And so when I help short-term rental owners provide that, then I get to be a part of a great vacation for everybody. So I really, really, really love that.
Well, that is absolutely great. And I just enjoy speaking with you all the time. And I'd just like to thank you for coming along and joining us, and to Marty from Happy in the Keys for sharing your experiences as well. And thank you guys. And of course, Jodi has the really cutest dog as well, which
she's asleep.
Okay, thank you very, very much.